In today's video, I'm going to cover a couple of reasons why people are moving to our area based off the stats from around the country. I'm going to give you the top 10 places that are moving here to St. Augustine, and then I'm also give you a couple of reasons why people are making that move. What's up, everyone? It's Thomas with Real Broker here in St. Augustine, Florida. Both my wife and I run a real estate team here in the area, so if you are looking to buy, sell, or invest here in Northeastern Florida, make sure you reach out to my team directly, or if you're not ready to do that yet, go ahead and join our Facebook page. We have a whole bunch of information on there, some funny things as well, if you're not ready to make that jump yet into working with an agent. So why are people moving to St. Augustine? What's so great about it? Who are these people that are moving to our area that didn't want to move here before? And the main reasons that people are moving here is going to be retirement, their family, and lifestyle. So 29% of the people that are moving here are moving for retirement. 19.6% of people are moving for family. So whether that's to be close to family members or maybe come down here because you have kids that you want in great schools. And 17% are moving because of the lifestyle. So they're looking for a change of pace from what they're used to. I work with a couple of people that moved from Michigan. They're like, it's just gray and cold and not much to do. 6 months out of the year, people are just stuck inside drinking. I don't want to do that anymore. I want some sun and some life, and I want to go diving and I want to go fishing, all that kind of stuff. So 17% are moving because of the lifestyle. Now, I didn't mention this before, but St. Johns County has the #2 school district in the entire state of Florida. Now, you can look all this up on the Florida Department of Education. They have actually a Excel file of all the schools in every county within the state of Florida, and they give their grade rankings for how good of a school they are. Now, within St. Johns County, 73% of our schools are rated A schools. And that is another thing to note as well. If you're looking on Realtor or Zillow, they don't base their school information based off of the Florida Department of Education because they use a numerical system. Here in Florida, we do it by letter grades. So it's an F if it's a bad school, it's an A if it's a great school. So if you need that information, reach out to me directly. I can email it all over to you. Whether you're looking here in St. Johns County or if you're looking in any other county, it's one Excel. But that's one of the big reasons that people want to move here, because they want a great life for their kids. They want a great lifestyle for their kids, but they also want to make sure that they get a great education. And that is one thing that St. Johns County definitely provides. With 73% of our schools being A-rated school, you pretty much throw a rock and you're going to hit a great school. Not to mention, I may be wrong on this number, but I think they have a plan to build 17 schools over the next 20 years. The reason that I'm not 100% sure is because the news article came out maybe a year and a half ago, where it was 19 schools, but I'm pretty sure 2 of those schools have opened. So maybe it's 17 schools over the next 18 years, but don't quote me on that. So what areas are moving here to St. Augustine? Like why would someone want to move here from St. Augustine if they already live in Florida, right? And you'd be actually really surprised to learn that there's actually 2 out of the top 10 places relocating here. So I'm going to go from the top to bottom. So 1 through 10 of the places that are relocating here to the Northeastern Florida area. Number 1, we have Miami, Florida. Definitely didn't expect that, but with how prices have changed there, I imagine a lot of people are relocating because of traffic and prices and affordability in general. Number 2, New York, New York. Now that is not surprising to me at all, especially since the pandemic. Obviously, we were polar opposites in how that was handled. And also, a lot of people retire from New York. Pretty much everyone I know, and I lived in New York, I lived there. Plenty of people that I know there have a brother, a cousin, a family member, a friend that moved to Florida, retired to Florida, found a better life in Florida, whatever. Pretty much everyone I know there has some contingency plan to move down to Florida in some shape or some fashion or form. Number 3, Washington, D.C. Number 4, Orlando. Now, this is something that surprised me because Orlando's affordability is actually cheaper than here, but Orlando is a much, much bigger metropolitan area. It's humongous, and really Orlando and Tampa are almost about to merge together with how much growth is happening out there. And I mean, with the traffic that's already down there because of how big of a metropolitan area it is, and then you have Disney and Universal there, the traffic is just god-awful. I-4 is terrible. Everyone hates it. So that actually makes a good bit of sense, but I was surprised to see that it's one of the top 10 areas relocating to our area. 5, Atlanta, Georgia. 6, LA. Once again, polar opposites in terms of how COVID happened. From here in Florida, I'm sure, chime in if you're from California, let me know if I'm full of it. But it seems that California is on fire at all times, and not just actually speaking on fire, but it seems with their politics and all this other stuff going on, it seems like they have a lot of issues over there that we don't tend to have here in Florida. Now, if you live in California, I guarantee you see the things about Florida and you're like, we feel the same way about you. Very possible. When I lived in New York, I felt like all the news about Florida was negative, and now I live in Florida and all the news about New York is negative. So I've lived in both places. They're great places. Number 7, we got Chicago. Number 8, we got Seattle, Washington. Number 9, Boston. Number 10, Philadelphia. So like I mentioned, like the Northeast is moving down here. A lot of people that already live there had a contingency plan. They've been vacationing down here for years, and they're already looking to move down here. Now, from the West Coast, that is actually pretty surprising to see those places, LA, Washington, Seattle, Washington moving down here. But I imagine that's more based off of affordability than it is of politics, right? Now, I imagine politics does affect some people, and I've worked with plenty of people from California that moved here for those exact reasons. But for the most part, I think it's also based on, more about lifestyle and affordability. So if you're thinking about moving from any of those areas or areas surrounding there, you're not alone. There's tons of people relocating here. And just being 100% honest, there wasn't very many people living in St. Augustine, prior to, like, when I was a kid, it was a much, much smaller town. But now it seems that everyone that's moved here, you're pretty hard pressed to find someone who was actually born and raised here in St. Augustine. And that's because the people that were born and raised here, they either went off to college, got another job somewhere, or they moved because our area has just become unaffordable for them because it's just, the prices have gone crazy since COVID. They were already going up prior to that, but COVID really ignited that. And we were seeing percentage increases year over year, percentage increases month over month, actually, and double-digit percentage increases year over year, which really pushed that affordability at a lower and lower point for the locals that live here. So I already gave you the percentages of why people want to move here. And one of the biggest things is lifestyle, right? So what does St. Augustine offer that a lot of Florida doesn't offer, right? And I think with St. Augustine specifically, with how small of a town is, the history, the architecture, the beaches, the one thing that we really do offer here in St. Augustine is a small town feel. Now, there's plenty of other cities that are bordering, beach and the ocean and everything that you could go to, but you're going to definitely get more of a metropolitan feel. You want to go live in Miami, that's pretty much the New York of Florida. It's a city, it's just a lot hotter. You don't have to deal with the cold down in Miami at all. Much more of a tropical climate. But in my opinion, if I'm going to live in a city, I'm going to live in the best city in the world, which is New York City. I don't want to live in Miami. It's just not my scene. So if you're looking for an area that is, it still has a good pace, there's still things happening every single day, every single weekend. There's always something to do, but it's also one of those towns that you can just sit back and relax and kick your feet up. St. Augustine offers the best of both worlds. And like I said, both my wife and I, we lived in New York City. My wife is from North Jersey. I was born in New York and I lived in Jersey, moved here as a kid. I have a good idea of what the lifestyles are like in both areas. And I love living in the city. I have no complaints about it. But it does get a little much sometimes where it's like everywhere you go, it's traffic all the time. It's this all the time. It's always something. It's always go, 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 go. Here, you have the option to do that. You can go as much as you want. You always have something to do, or you can not do that. You can just do that sparingly when you want to, right? And that's more of my speed. And to tie in with that, there's tons of things to do here, right? So just talk about the beach, talk about the outdoor activities, fishing, hiking, surfing, biking, whatever you want to do. There is something for you here. You want to go kayaking, you can do that. You want to go boating, you can do that. You want to just lay on the beach, go ahead and do that. You want to go out to drink, plenty of great restaurants here. Our food and bar scene has really exploded over these past couple of years, especially with all the people moving into town. Our areas had to change because of that, right? We have so much more diversity in our food and our dining and drinking scene here than we did before. Before it was, they kind of coined it as a quaint fishing village with a drinking problem. So it was really more or less dive bars, just your regular bars. But now we're starting to see higher end places come in here where you can get a nice cocktail, you can just hang out, have a nice glass of wine, get a charcuterie board, hang out and just relax and have a great time in a great environment. Also the live music and the arts, like this past year they had the Sing Out Loud Festival me and my wife went to. I went with a couple of our friends and they had Black Keys play, which is one of my favorite bands, and they had Mumford & Sons play, which is one of my wife's favorite bands. And those were the two headliners. It was a 2-day festival and it was a ton of fun. aside from that, the Sing Out Loud Festival is a month-long thing where they have singer-songwriters, artists of all kinds playing at different restaurants, different locations throughout downtown St. Augustine Beach, pretty much all over. And the majority of these concerts are free. OAR, saw a couple of great bands there last year. We went to a couple of concerts, I can't remember them all, but they always have good acts coming in. It actually sells more tickets than Red Rocks, but it is open year-round. Now, Red Rocks can't do that because obviously you guys have the cold and the snow. You do get some better acts up there. There's no debating that, but the St. Augustine Amphitheater is amazing in its own right. Last year we saw Milky Chance. And another great reason that people want to move here is because, you know, we still do have that Southern hospitality. We still have some really great people that live here in St. Augustine. And that's something that I personally experienced as when I was a kid. When I grew up, I grew up pretty freaking poor, you know, on St. Augustine Beach, which, you know, hey, in the grand scheme of things, you grow up poor in St. Augustine Beach, you have a pretty great life. You know, I'm definitely an example of that. I definitely know poverty at a different level than most people, but I also know other friends of mine that lived at poverty levels in Philly and New York, which is way different than being poor in St. Augustine Beach. And that's because I was surrounded by kind people. One year for Christmas, we had a charity event throw us a Christmas because my mom couldn't afford presents. So, you know, I ended up getting like an acoustic guitar. I still have it today. My sister ended up getting presents and everything like that. That's the community that we live in. When I was a kid, you know, all the kids were getting cool basketball shoes and all that kind of stuff. I only got one pair of sneakers for the year. And then my pair of sneakers that were the nice sneakers turned into my play sneakers the following year, right? So just one pair a year, and they were always just from Payless or whatever, you know, something to get me by so I can walk with shoes on. But one of my friends when I was in elementary school or maybe middle school, can't remember at this point, he got me the AI 3s, right? He actually owned them, and he's like, he got another pair, so he just gave them to me, right? Like kind of the shirt off his back type of thing. And he still lives here in town, you know, and that's just a, you know, of course, this is a personal example of these things, but that's why I'm sharing it. It's like I've experienced these things here in this town, and I really do believe that some great people live here. Now, that can also be a little different from, you know, where you're living currently. I lived in New York. The attitude of around strangers and other people is completely different. When I first moved back down here, Southern hospitality I completely forgot about, and I was just checking out at our grocery store Publix and going through, and the lady starts asking me questions, you know, like, hey, what are you doing for the rest of the day? How's your day going? All this kind of stuff. And I'm just like, none of your fucking business, you know? And that's, I say that jokingly. I didn't say that, you know, to her, but I was just like, man, like, what is up? Why are you asking me all these questions? Like, just bring my food up and let me get out of here. But it's just what the Southern hospitality is down here. It does take a little getting used to if you're not used to it. People are just nicer in general. Maybe it's just the laid back lifestyle. Maybe it's the availability of everything St. Augustine has to offer. We live in a town where people vacation, right? And that's something that not a lot of people can say. Guys, and that is it. I hope you gained a little bit of insight and knowledge on why you should move to St. Augustine, Florida. And if you are looking to move, make sure you reach out to me and my team directly. Like I said before, if you're looking to buy, sell, or invest, our whole goal is to give you the information so that you can make an educated decision on what you already want to do. We're just here to really help you along the way. But if you did learn something, if you did like the video, make sure you subscribe, like the video, comment. If you have any additional questions, you need more food reaction, you need anything, just go ahead and comment below or reach out to me directly. We'd love to be able to help. Until next time, guys.